I don't normally cry. I'm just there. You know, when I feel sad, I'm sad. I allow myself feel my emotions, but crying doesn't come easily to me. Yeah. I watched a movie with my partner at that time, and then tears rolled down my cheek, just one eye, and she was laughing at me.
I guess because she had never seen you cry.
Yes. She was laughing and she was saying anytime something happens, I either cry that day. Men want to talk actually. Men want to express themselves, but they are scared. A man can trust you with his life, but not tell you that his girlfriend cheated on him.
Everybody has their own type.
Yeah.
You will find a man that doesn't care about cooking. What he likes is that my wife is intelligent. But
the probability of meeting a man that doesn't like a woman or that doesn't value cooking skills in a woman is very low.
You will be patient, you find the person.
Not everybody will find their type.
Not everybody will find their type. Some people compromise along the journey because of lack of patience. Because if you had waited till you turn 50, you find your type.
Once to get married, and you know that majority of marriageable men
you find the person that will suit you where you are.
Because I feel like
for a woman,
if you now
the man comes to you in most cases.
It's actually people that are trying to manage.
Yes, that we start talking about why you not cooking, why we ordering.
I'm here to present you another episode of my Breath of Hope podcast. Of course, what else will I be doing here? And in today's episode, we'll be taking things like, I like to make things fun in as much as I like to make things serious. Today would be more of a discussion and we'll be talking about men, right? This is an episode that deals with gender ideologies, what you think about, how men should behave, how women should behave, and things like that. And today we'll be talking about how vulnerable men should be. And over here, I have with me Ruby. They'll introduce themselves. Ruby, we have Emeka, we have Loveth, and we have Great, aka Just Nigerian Man. Okay, aka MNX, right?
Just Emeka.
Oh, just Emeka. Okay. Sure. Okay, right. And I'll be taking them through a series of use cases that should, attempt to explore how vulnerable men should be in society and how they should be in their relationships and in their families, right? And of course, I know this, hoping they all have different views, and hopefully we try to strike the balance, between those views, right? And, very quick introduction. I would like each of my guests, to basically introduce themselves and tell me a little bit about who they are and what they do. Starting with you, Ruby.
Hello guys, my name is Victor Akubueze. I'm an actor, singer, filmmaker, and entrepreneur.
Hi guys, my name is Emeka Nwagbaraocha. I am an actor, an influencer, and a writer.
Great.
Hi everyone, my name is Loveth Akubueze. I am a content creator and a fashion model.
Amazing.
Hi everyone, I'm Ogbeiwi Great, a dating coach for men, a men's dating coach.
Strictly for men?
Yeah, strictly for men.
Okay, all right, great. Okay, so the first use case I would like us to explore, I want to reference what happened in 1912.
Okay.
Wow, problem.
Okay, never got me then, Sha, but okay.
I want us to criticize this. Was it right or wrong?
Okay.
In the Titanic, save women and children first. Was it right or wrong?
It's like we've been saying, it's I feel like it stemmed from a societal view of that time, which at that time women were seen as weaker vessels, which they are still seen as till today. But then as at then, when women were still very much under their husbands, under the male figure in their family. So for me, I feel like it was a place of societal standard for them to take out the women and the children, first of all, because they feel like, they need protection. They cannot protect themselves. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I feel like it was more of a societal view of, because right now, if that thing happened now, I don't really imagine a situation where it would have been, women and children first. Because now I feel like the world has evolved more in these conversations where...
Not really. There was a recent, the Ukraine war now.
Women and
children will still allowed to.
Men will stay behind, women can go.
There is also,
Women and
it's
children.
still that Ukraine that you quoted.
Yeah.
There was a female soldier that stayed back.
Exactly.
So, like I said, women are now in the army.
Those are extreme cases. The general rule was that men should stay and fight, women should leave. Do you have a problem with that?
Okay, I'm going to say that.
And it doesn't matter if
personally,
one woman remained. The majority of women left.
Not yes. So I would say that personally, as a person, if I'm in a crisis situation, I'll prioritize women and children naturally, and it's not a thing that is stemming from
Thank you.
I am seeing myself as a man and all that, because in the long run, it's if the women by themselves say, okay, we are not willing to stay back and participate in this. Okay, sorry, if the women say, okay, I want to stay back and be part of the helping her, I won't say, okay, why must you stay here? Go and join another woman, because it is a volunteer work at this point.
Yeah.
Everybody is playing to their strengths. So if the woman feels like, well, I'm strong enough to stay back and assist, there are also men that, if given an option, will jump on those boats and go. It's because of also societal construct.
We are the people
Stay
that
back.
are supposed to
Do you understand? Men are
be.
supposed to stay back. So in that kind of situation,
Yeah, so I'm sorry for cutting you short. So I think from what you're saying, you're giving a freedom of choice.
yes,
Exactly.
In a case whereby a country is saying, men, you must stay back. Men, you must stay back and fight. Women, you can go. Do you have a problem with that?
I'll prioritize elderly people.
Elderly people.
In that kind of situation, I'll prioritize children and elderly people before we now come down to women.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
Men and women,
Men and
able
Abled
strong,
men and women.
yeah,
Because
able-bodied men and
women
women.
are fighting.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. So women are now able to participate in fights. So it will be, I say cowardice for a woman that is able-bodied and feels like she can handle things like a fight. After all, in ancient Dahomey, women were the warriors. What are we talking about? So in that kind of situation, would you also say women, in fact, it's even men that will be putting in boats. So it's everybody play to their strengths. For example, someone that is a good, back then now, in those times, someone that is a good storyteller, maybe a folklorist, because they want to preserve history and tradition, it will not make sense to put that man in war, because we are trying to preserve history and what tradition. So I join the women and go, even if he might feel, I am a man, I need to stay back and fight because of what societal construct. But then we need to think about optimum efficiency. Whose strength is needed now? If your strength is not needed now, then there's no need for you to be here. But at that time, just like she said, societal construct, they believed women were weaker. So put them inside the
Plus,
boat and let
women
them.
were not already into a lot of protection of
It
themselves.
wasn't even enshrined into them
It
at
was
that
not
time.
at that. But now that women are in the army, now that
What
women,
percentage of women are in the army though?
I mean, it's way much more than what it
What
was before.
Yeah. I feel
Before that, women
I feel
were not
as a
even allowed
society,
to work.
And I think when women are even in the army most times, they are hardly ever on the battlefield though.
well,
They are, but
you
not,
can say
they
that.
are.
You can say that. But there are also women that are also in the
they are like the
battlefield.
nursing side.
Not entirely.
No,
there are also men that are in the
not
nursing side.
entirely.
though.
It's all about interest, and I believe women are not interested in dying. You understand?
I don't agree with
Oh,
that.
that's why women are
I
not
don't
interested in
agree
dying.
with
No.
that.
Yeah, when
bro.
it comes to
generalize it.
war casualties, the treatment women get are far more gruesome than men. If you look at it in
Are you sure?
yes,
Okay,
women get raped and abused in war. Men just get killed. I'm not saying just get killed.
Are you saying? I'm not saying that, but are you saying that being raped is worse? I don't know which is worse. I'm asking. Are you saying that being raped is worse? Than
No,
being
I'm not saying, but I'm.
It's-
but
it- I
when,
feel
if when it comes to a war scenario now, when most of these villains jam a man, do you understand? The first approach is kill.
Kill.
Do you understand? But when it comes to a woman,
They
they
will
take them
still-
as captive,
Yeah.
start abusing,
Assault
raping
and
them,
torture you till
and-
death. So
till
it's
death.
like
So
you could
it's
have just
done
killed
it
me,
quicker
like,
than
and let me
just
know that I've died.
passing the woman through that
I
torture
think
and
we
all
want to say
that.
something.
We're talking about war.
Yeah.
No man tries to take an armed woman captive because she will kill you. She has weapons too.
Okay.
You understand? So we rarely hear cases of in war you capture a soldier, a female soldier, and you are.
So,
It happens
Yeah,
now,
it
yeah.
happens.
What was that movie that just
Movie?
came out?
Come on, my
No,
sister.
because it
No,
was
because
based
movies
on
are
real life
real
events.
life
It
events.
was
I
based
see.
on this BAP movie, the one of the
House of
Bashorun.
God, yeah.
Yes, House of God. Yes,
Okay.
they captured strong people like the warriors there, and then even in I think even in Queen Amina or one of those stories like that. So like women who were okay, or I'm even going too far. woman king. When they were captured, the women were
Do you know
the
were warriors, so-
When
but
they
they
were
wanted
captured,
to-
they still wanted to enslave them now.
I think that I don't have much context to the female army though, but I do know that in a case whereby war erupts and the laws, there's a word for it, but basically the laws regarding war, don't hurt civilians, women, children, don't rape. But I do think that whenever those things are not being taken into consideration, then women are casualties for rape, right? So I actually do.
But then are there laws that the thing is that the laws don't even protect anyone
At all.
in a situation of war. That's the painful thing. The laws don't protect anyone, whether woman, child, man.
true.
Do you understand? Everybody is a victim of war casualties. But then when it comes to like when I mean the gruesome nature of it, because nobody necessarily keeps a man around and tortures him and rapes him till he dies.
Slaves.
Do you understand? Well,
Yeah, they become slaves. Like,
they are
beating
manual labor. Maybe manual
But
labor.
sometimes what happens with the women is that they marry them for themselves. So, for instance, I'm talking of Stone Age now. So, the way it happened over time is what happens is you defeat the warriors, you get their women, you marry them, make them have children for you, and things like that. Yeah, mostly. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like they just keep them as sex slaves mostly. I don't
No,
think
so sorry, marriage is the wrong word. Concubines.
concubines.
Yeah.
They just keep them
Concubines.
there.
Concubines. Okay, but what do you think about the Titanic? Basically, like, do you think they were wrong to say women and children only? Please, do you think that?
I
was
mean,
the
I
wrong
agree with what Ruby said. Societal standards, basically, and I feel like it would have been a case. They didn't do it because we are men and we are stronger than these women and these children. They just did it because I don't know.
That's what they thought.
Yes, like that was
how
their first
they
of
were-
let's take the
that's how
women
they
out.
were
Do you get?
taught
And it wasn't
to
a situation of
behave.
because you're a man, you must stay and wait for all the women to go out first. It was just something that it was just their first instinct. Take the women and the children
Based on
away.
that
That's
fact.
the
On
first
that time.
instinct.
But considering the
And,
fact that men were in a very patriarchal time, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think that it would have been the other way around? Let's save ourselves first. That's why we're the ones in power. Why
Because
was
they
there
want
women?
to, because of that need
They also
to
the need to
show
shield.
that you are able to protect the women. Because at that time, like you said, it was a very patriarchal era. So men always wanted to show the power that they have, the ability to protect. So it couldn't have been.
I just don't think it
men
was about
showing
power.
that they have the capacity to protect is not a bad thing.
No, I'm not saying
at the
it's
end
a
of the
bad
day.
thing.
But
No, I'm not
that's
saying
not the
it's a bad
reason
thing.
why men save women and children. Children are saved to continue. You understand? And women are safe to take care of those children. It's as easy as that. Not because of a man wants to show that he is.
Okay.
To me, that's what I think.
I understand that.
You
But if
understand?
we're to
Children
reverse
saved,
it,
women
if you were
saved,
to
women
think-
take care of children.
if you were to think about the Titanic as men and children only, please, it would have been written as one of the worst things that men ever did in the history of time. Do you agree with that?
I don't understand.
So rather than saying, let's save the women and children, the men come together and say, let's save ourselves and save the children. You agree with me that might have turned out in history as one of the most disastrous things that men ever did.
Yeah, true.
I mean, like
Because
the
who
way
would
you
continue
put it,
the-
exactly the
who
way
would
you put
continue
it.
the legacy
who
of
would
the-
continue
of
the
the
legacy.
race?
You're not getting the point. The point is that if we were sitting down in the 21st century to discuss,
to analyze it.
internalize it, we'll see this thing that these men did were very wicked. But when we look at the fact that men made those sacrifices, we see them as heroes. Instead. Shouldn't that imply that there is something known as a gender role that can still be applied to them? Because we are thinking about it based on our perspectives today.
I don't think of it in that way. I personally don't think of it in that way.
I personally feel good when I do something good for anybody, whether be it
whether
a
male
woman or a
female.
man.
Do
That's
you
honestly.
understand?
I like to
the
see
fact that
you.
men decided to be like, okay, women and children go, despite understanding the consequences of maybe staying behind and being left behind.
Yeah.
It is something that is praiseworthy, something that is honorable. But then it doesn't still define that, it must be men that will stay and it must be women that will stay. It's like I said, everybody playing to their strengths. And at that time, women didn't have much to offer in that situation.
Exactly.
Keeping women back there in,
Would
that,
have been-
in that boat would have made situations
Even
far
worse.
more worse than what they were trying to prevent. So in that situation, everybody was playing to their strengths. There have also been times in modern times when women have been in the forefront of taking charge of situations like this. So it doesn't mean that the men that were there were also.
Please
lesser
give me an
men.
example of recent times when.
I'm trying to. I can't really get an example now. but
There's no example
There
in recent
is
times.
actually. There is an example.
Okay, what's your counter to that? Sorry, I think I want to get your thoughts on that.
On.
Okay,
You want to
example of
counter what
recent
he's
times.
saying.
No, I'm saying that there is no. The most recent case of a war was the Ukraine war now.
I'm not talking about
You said
war.
the recent
I'm not
times.
talking about
Just
war. I'm talking generally. Like in
Situation.
situations of crisis, women taking the forefront, not just war. No, in situations of crisis, women taking the forefront of putting themselves on the line for certain things like this. So it doesn't mean that the men that were there were weak. It just means that the person that was most capable is the one taking the responsibility at the time.
Plus, it's mostly how it what's that thing? Like the mindset they had at that time. So they couldn't have possibly done otherwise.
Yeah.
You see that mindset. See, let me make this clear. You see, societal constructs comes from our innate instincts as human beings.
Okay.
You understand? There are things that, if you look generally, there are some aspects of life, there's some spheres of life where women have more interest in, and there are other spheres of life where men have interest in.
First, like
You see, this protection stuff, that's why there are more men in the army, that's why there are more men in the police, that's why there are more men. Men just feel...
Is it really why there are more men? No.
Yeah.
I bet to
Interest.
differ.
If you tell me...
If we had made that
down this statement, you find out that there are more underlying factors. Why
exactly,
women are not in this.
because I feel like
Women don't want to be in those
Who
fields.
told you that?
Nah.
When I was
You
younger,
know
I
why?
wanted
You
to
know
be
why?
in the army.
No, women want...
Great,
Chill.
explain
Chill.
yourself.
No.
Women...
No, let me
let
say
him
now.
answer.
Women want to be in the army, but
Okay.
not majority of women want to be in the army.
Because
You
that's what
understand?
I'm telling
There are-
you.
Do you know
Wait,
why?
let him land.
Because there are other areas of interest that women have that they would like to explore.
Exactly.
well as
And
the
why?
The army might be at the last of our bucket list.
Because
Do you understand?
Okay.
why
Because
do you
of
think
her
that?
innate instincts.
Exactly, that's what I'm telling you. Because if it's that at the very onset we had been given that choice to even start
Enroll
exploring
in
these
the
things,
army.
because it has
Nobody
over time.
holds any woman back in this day
no,
and
I'm
age.
saying,
No, not in
I'm
this day
saying,
and age, like-
I'm saying in my own personal
Yeah.
opinion, if we had been given
Present day.
the yes, in this present time, if we had been given from time ab initio that we have been given the choices to explore all these things that men were liberally given the choices to explore, we would have had interest, because you cannot have interest in something you have not explored before.
Yeah.
Are you
You
talking
build
about-
interest
That's not
from
true.
exploration.
That's not true.
Are you talking about
That's not true.
specific
No, I'm
or
talking
general?
You can have
about
interest in
he's
something
saying-
you have
he's
never
saying-
explored before. You can have interest in it.
I'm going to come.
There are people
I'm
that
going to-
naturally
I'm going to
like-
come.
Sorry.
I'm going to come at this from back to what we are talking about: societal instinct and societal structure. For example, in the kingdom of Dahomey, and I'll keep using them as an example, where women were majorly soldiers, a girl at that time not wanting to be a soldier
Exactly.
would have been seen as, oh my God, what is she doing?
Yeah.
But would it have been wise to make a woman a soldier?
Sorry,
They were already
tell
soldiers.
me about the kingdom of Dahomey. I have
Have you
little
seen
knowledge
women-
about
women
that.
were the warriors.
in
Were
that-
women
and-
more in that kingdom of Dahomey?
They were not. They were
I
just
don't
the
think- I don't
warriors.
think-
Were women
There were
more?
more men.
I don't think it was a
Population.
thing of, I don't think it
No,
was a
it
thing of
wasn't.
having
No, I'm
women.
asking, I'm
Because
just
the men
asking.
were also
It wasn't
there.
a matter of population, the men were there.
They also have a male army, but the women's army was much more effective, so to speak.
They had
at that
higher
time.
rankings.
They had higher rankings and all that. So at that point in time, women will see it as like a privilege being
Yes,
in the army. But
exactly.
then when you now come to a society where it's always been men,
So
being
it's
in
like,
that
what
position,
do I want to have interest in that for?
but then
Because that's how it has
also there are
always
also
been.
outliers, people that just come up and even though everybody is going left, they choose to go this particular
Yeah.
direction.
Like the kingdom of Dahomey.
Eh?
It's an
But-
outlier, it's an
yeah,
exception.
that's
No,
what I'm
it's
saying.
not an
No,
exception.
It was not an exception.
Like I said, it's
let
down
me
to
explain what great
societal
means.
construct.
Let me explain what great means. So we've had thousands of wars, thousands. Out of those thousands, the army, what has been made up of the army, right, has been men. So the people of Dahomey, right, Dahomey,
Yeah.
is just that one out of the thousands. I think did I get that? That they are
Yeah, it's an
outlier in
exception,
terms
it's
of-
an outlier. In
But
terms
it's
of...
saying generally speaking, when you're
generally,
talking about
yeah.
wars,
No, I wasn't talking about outlier. Is like I'm talking about like as a society now. Do you understand? For example, in a family where everybody is a doctor, the first son is a doctor, the father and mother were doctors. They literally grew up. The first son doctor, second son doctor, third
It's
son
easy
doctor.
for you, the
It's
next
easy
person
for the
to
next
have
person to be like,
interest
okay,
to say, I want to be a doctor.
And
But
then if you now say, oh, I want to be a chef, they begin to see, they low-key see as like, is this person actually?
Are you sure they did not carry
I
this
do
from
do
the
understand.
outside?
I know that.
I do think that might not be 100% accurate, and this is why I think so.
Okay.
Right?
So, do you know Jordan P. Peterson?
Yeah, I do.
So he's a Canadian psychologist, and in his study, it is shown that an egalitarian society is a society whereby there is a big push in the equality movement, trying to give women more opportunities, trying to educate women on roles and all of those things. Now, they have done all of these things, right? But it shows that even as they've tried to push women into more male-dominated roles, the disparity between women's interest and men's interest is even more than, say, an average society that does not practice egalitarianism or something, right? So I do think that we can see that even when there is a social reconstruction that women need to be educated on more male-dominated fields, right? Women will still choose to be women will still choose to go for certain roles, and this is why I think so. You can feel free to disagree with me on this. I think that it comes
Rules like, I feel like...
yes, that's what I'm heading to. I do think that based off our biological instinct, I think our biology informs our psychology, and I will explain what I mean. Let's start from the very basic example. We are living in the Stone Age. Very basic example. We are living in the Stone Age, right? I marry a woman, right? The woman is able to give birth, okay? Now that woman is able to give birth while I'm not able to give birth, but I notice that I am stronger. I notice that I am more agile in terms of physical activities. That informs me as to what I should be doing with my life. I should go hunting. I should do this. I should do that. At least on the basic level, the woman gives birth, so she has to step back to take care of children. And biologically speaking, we understand that there are hormones that connect a mom to a child. So there is a place from psychological law where a woman knows that I gave birth to this child. But there's also a place from a biological perspective whereby the woman knows that this child, there's something that bonds the woman to the child.
There's nothing
right?
that bonds the father to the child.
No, biologically speaking, there are hormones that are released from the woman. So a social experiment was done with a rat. If that hormone that connects a mom to a child, not just present in humans, it's present in mammals too. If you were to inject it into a rat, put that rat around a little rat, I don't know what it's called, little rat, and basically you've given her the hormone, put her around a rat that she didn't give birth to, she would care for that rat. Okay. So there is a driving instinct that basically, from a biological perspective, even that
it makes sense because she gave birth to that child.
Exactly.
She spent 9 months.
Exactly.
It makes sense.
And so from that place, from that biological standpoint, we can see that biology in a way informs our lifestyle, informs our perception, informs our sense of responsibilities. Do you understand how
Yeah, I agree with that to an extent. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So now that leads me to now say, because of that, the woman is more focused on people relationship. No, I would address it. You give birth, I will address it at the very basic point. You give birth to 2-3 children, you have that bond with them. Your instinct becomes nurturing. Do you agree with that?
To an extent.
Let's be moving forward.
The man knows that, because what is informing the man is that he has to he has to provide for them to a reasonable extent.
So he shouldn't nurture them.
I'm not done.
Okay.
At the basic level, right? At the basic level, like I explained how I got to that point, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so the man knows that, okay, I need to go hunting, I need to do this, I need to do that, right? To provide for them. So the man is more interested in problems of how to get things done for them at the basic level. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, in these egalitarian societies, going back now, it's proving that the more they try to educate women, the more women are interested in people, morals, relationships. So things like nursing, things like
psychology,
teaching, things that involve nurturing, things that involve nurturing, teaching, things like that. While the men are more interested in engineering kind of activities. Now that does not mean that you won't see women that would want to push for those engineering activities. It does mean that at the basic level, women would always tend to go into the nurturing side of things.
Okay,
I think I agree with
I see
you.
his
There's
point.
a
I see
hormone in
his
a man
point.
that is called testosterone. A synonym for that hormone, you can say drive. It drives a man to be naturally more ambitious than a woman. It drives a man to do rough things, to want to learn how to throw a backflip, to want to play rough play, to want to you get that hormone is what pushes a man to want to do things that a woman will not normally do. That hormone pushes a man to have interest in, engineering, like you said, technology, things that will involve hands and dangerous things like building skyscrapers and stuff like that. That hormone drives a man to it gives a man a sense of honor after he has accomplished some certain things.
Yeah.
So
But would you
I
guys
haven't
agree?
I haven't really done research on the testosterone and
Yeah,
making a man more ambitious, because I've also met women who are also ambitious in what they are
everybody
doing.
see
No,
there are two
he's
hormones.
not saying that women are not ambitious. So he's not
Okay.
saying that. He's just implying, more like buttressing what Victor said about hormones, hormones impacting your psychology,
Yeah.
which I agree with. It was part of some of the things I treated in my project. So I actually, like, I've done research on that as well. So of course, how, like, the kind of build you have biologically
Yeah.
informs. It's like the thing you're saying about the hormones that men have that make them to, not that it's all that makes them to do the things they do,
Yeah.
but like it's a part of what
Part of it,
contributes
true.
to the kind of like
Biology.
doing rough
Rough
play.
play.
And like, because I know that growing up, even now up till now, like I try to be like, I'm more moved to protecting, to like nurturing, like taking care of
Yeah.
things than, like, how men are
Destroying
being
them.
Thank you.
destructive and being
Yeah.
like rough, like you were saying. So it's like when I see people playing around with a scissors, I get like scared, because like you're going to hurt yourself and I'm
Yeah.
going to have to take care of you now. So it's like, and it's coming from a place of that my biology impacting the kind of mindset
Yeah,
I have towards life on the outside. So I agree with you on that, but now I've forgotten where I was going with my own first point. But yeah, you can carry on.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else?
Um,
It seems like you have something on my mind.
yeah, I don't entirely agree that
Okay.
I don't know. I don't entirely agree that your biology alone.
No, we are not saying your biology
It
is
contributes.
It contributes,
Yes.
yes.
Because I've seen people
It's actually
that
the
I've
biggest
seen,
factor,
I've seen,
actually.
I've seen,
Biggest
I've seen
factor.
men, I've
The
seen
biggest
men,
factor.
I've
It
seen
happens
men
within
that
you.
are the most masculine of men, but they nurture their children more than their actual wives. Do you understand?
Yes.
So will you now say that man is biologically wired to?
No.
So these are the things
And you know
Traditional.
that it's like when they say, I'm not a very science person, but you know how like the X and Y chromosomes and the X and X, X and waiting
X and Y
X,
chromosomes.
exactly. So you know how like each person, it's like you now, maybe you got like this and that more. And then another man, he will get more of this and lesser
less.
of this. So like both men cannot be the same, obviously.
Yeah.
Both women cannot even be the same. It's like I know women who are rough.
Yeah.
Who just
Yeah,
like
exactly.
to be
I also
like,
wanted to point
exactly.
that,
I know
'cause that
women who
rough
are
part,
very
women
rough.
are- there's some
Exactly.
women that are very rough. Even that scissors split.
exactly,
There are
and it
some-
comes into play because
Women also have some level of testosterone, actually.
Exactly. We
They
also
do. So
do
some
have
women
that.
might have higher than some other
Exactly,
women.
exactly. That's
Some
what I'm
men
saying,
have
which is why
estrogen also.
Which is
All of us have
why
estrogen, but
we're
it just
saying
depends on
that
which one is higher.
biology does affect your psychology.
So if it comes to that, what I would say is that for the purpose of clarity, I'm not well read
Yeah, okay,
in
true.
this
So-
particular scheme. So I'm just using, what will I call it, observation of life and all that. It's
Yeah.
something that one will have to pay more attention to read and get more information.
Yeah.
But I believe that in everybody, there's that ability to be kind, there's that ability to
Exactly.
be nurturing, there's that
Exactly.
ability. It just takes effort from you.
And
to take that step.
environment
An
as
environment
well.
that helps you to
to
bring out
shape
that side
that
of you,
and bring that
essentially.
outside of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do agree that even if a man really tried, he couldn't be as nurturing as a woman.
No, he can't.
Oh, well.
I feel like why not? Why not?
It's just that it might be
There was
impossible
that
for a
very
man
nurturing
to
though.
be more nurturing and carry out his other roles almost perfectly. Like I said, a relationship should have structure. Yeah, these are the things that you can do. These are the things that you do more.
Yeah.
Fine, do this. These are the things that you cannot do. Okay, leave it for me to do.
Okay.
If a man becomes more nurturing, and it impinges on his time to make means to provide.
No,
and
that's
protect for
where
his
time
own.
management comes in.
But
You still
whenever
make time for what is your
you can make out time to be
Yeah.
nurturing,
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
out time for you. Yeah,
I think that's where you learn to balance your time.
That's
Exactly.
balance. That's where
And then
balance comes in.
priorities too.
Yeah, because mind you, there are some women who do not know how to nurture.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in that
They
kind of
don't.
relationship, you find yourself
Yeah,
in
no.
a relationship where the man is the one who comes from a home or an environment where he was taught to nurture and not just sideline and say, you're a man, don't worry, go and maybe play
Go
ball,
play.
go and wash car, instead of see how to take care of this child, see how to take care of this kitchen, see how to. So it's like in the kind of home that I grew up in, I don't really remember there being like certain gender roles in my father's house, because we are cooking, everybody is there. I mean, like even in my house, my father
Everybody's
was
there?
yeah, everybody cooks.
So both the boys and the girl cook.
I'm telling you that the
My
worst
father-
part of the situation is that my father is the major person who cooks in the house. And if you ask him, when sometimes we ask him that, he said, I don't marry your mother to come and be cooking for me. So it's like he loves to cook. So he enjoys cooking. It's just like if a guy enjoys nurturing, if he enjoys taking care of children, why would you deprive him of that thing that he's good at and he loves it because he's a
biases
He
and
has
man?
to
time.
provide.
But I have one question.
Yeah,
Who was changing the generator oil in your house?
my father.
Your father. Your brother never joined him.
That one was left to my father and the generator guy.
Did the ladies join him?
We were even
generators.
we were
You
always
want generator?
outside. Yeah,
fine.
that's the thing. We were always even she, because like by the time that it was remaining her and my parents in the house, she was the one they would send to, because that is why like what Emeka was saying about parenting, where it comes in, because if they were treating us like only the boys to go and return laundry, what would have happened by the time she was the last person remaining at home with them?
And then coming back to that even cooking conversation, because my dad cooks, but he doesn't, I will not say he cooks as often as my mom does. Do you understand? But he knows that he has that skill. And that thing, one Christmas, my mom traveled to my maternal side to go and spend Christmas with her family, with my siblings and all that. It was just myself. If it was just the men in the house. During that Christmas period, my dad went to the market with us. We were in the kitchen with him. He was sending us on errand and we were cooking with him. And during the conversation, he was saying things like that in the house he grew up, they were mostly boys.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And all of them know how to cook. So none of his son is going to say that he doesn't know how to cook. Because even in the period of cooking itself, maybe since we're all men in the house, we said, go and warm that stew. Do you understand? If you don't know how to cook, you go and burn the stew. And then you've
rendered us
helpless. So I just feel like in everything, equip your children
equally.
basic life skills. Do you understand? Equip your children with basic life skills, because you cannot say, okay, things like driving is fast, it comes with the genitals. Do you understand? It's a thing of interest. Do you understand? Things like sports. Not everybody finds interest in those things. Some people find them very rough. Some people don't find them interesting. And then, just equip your children with basic skills that would help them survive in this growing 21st century
as
world.
a human being, not as a man or as a
woman.
woman.
Do you understand? And then I feel like also in children, when you are, correcting children or trying to nurture them, don't be nurturing them to be like, as a man, you should be doing this.
As a woman.
It's as a person.
As a person, this is what you should do. Do you understand? You shouldn't allow people override you. You shouldn't allow people bully you. Stand up for yourself as a person, not stand up because you're a man. Exactly.
You agree with that?
I agree totally.
Okay.
Because I, for one, my mom taught me how to cook. When I was growing up, I didn't used to like the kitchen. But when I went to school and there was nobody to cook for me, so when I came back, I had to learn. You understand? So
Okay.
I believe every man should be taught how to cook, and it's not. I don't think it's
Basically,
gender
like
assigned.
survival
Yeah, it's
skills.
a survival skill. Everyone should
Yeah.
have.
I agree.
Okay, great. I think I've asked something similar on a societal perspective. I think you brought it to a relationship perspective. But I think I want to ask it in a different way. Do you think that a man crying in front of his babe reduces respect? Should a man cry in front of his babe? That's the same way a woman can cry. Do you think a woman can nag? Do you think a man can do that?
If you lose someone, why not cry?
Generally speaking, the way women do it.
How do women do it, please?
I don't think there's a need to cry in front of your woman. There's really no need.
You don't think there is a need?
There's no need. What are you crying for?
Okay. But you understand the context I'm putting, like the same way, like you understand the dynamics of a relationship and how, on average, not necessarily cry.
You think when someone is feeling like
I don't think
frustrated?
crying makes a woman lose respect for her man. But I think it depends on the kind of woman you have.
It depends on the dynamics of the relationship.
Yeah.
Like,
Also-
who are you dating?
Also,
If you-
I feel like I think what you are trying to say is someone that's a man whining, like always
Are you
whining.
thank you? Are you a perpetual
probably
crier?
and all
No,
that.
that's a
And I
different
think
thing.
that even as a guy, I wouldn't really like someone that is always whining
Emotional.
and being negative
Same.
for my
Yeah.
mental
Yeah.
health. Do you understand? So I feel like it's the person in question. Do you
Yeah.
understand? Not even the gender in question. Because if you're someone that is always complaining, always feeling negative, and always, at the slightest thing you give
Yeah.
up, I wouldn't want you around me because I don't want that kind of energy to
Yeah.
affect me. I want people that if anything happens, do you understand? Even if they fall down 7 times, they have this confidence that they are going to get up from that situation. And I think that one thing that inspires me about people are people that keep to their word more than anything. If they say, okay, today we're going to achieve this, they go ahead and achieve that, whether male or female. And that's very inspirational, I think, in my own opinion. But
Yeah.
great man can
Great, sorry.
No, you're talking about in a relationship.
Yeah, in a relationship.
Nobody wants to. It depends. How many times do you cry? What are you crying for?
Yeah.
You understand? It depends. Are you always crying?
I
You
mean,
understand? Crying. If someone, it doesn't matter how good of a person you are. If someone is always overburdening you with their emotions, you get
you
stressed.
get
Exactly.
exhausted.
You understand? So it depends. What's happening?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
making you cry. If you love
Exactly.
someone, cry.
Cry.
Yeah.
There are things that you can talk out instead of crying. If you want to express yourself to your partner,
But I
think
mean,
you can-
if it's something that happened in a way that this thing pushes you to tears,
Spontaneously.
Then, no, not spontaneously, like something that happened that has like a like what's
give
the
me an
word?
instance.
I should give you. I don't have an. I might not
I've
have an
been-
instance.
I've been in
but
relation-
like
I read the book one time, and the name of the book is Men Are From Mars, Women Are From
Venus, yeah.
And they're talking about how women sometimes, when they are talking to you about a problem, they are not expecting
Yeah,
a solution. They just want a listening ear. Do you understand? And then that's a different, an entirely different situation, because most times what most people need is literally a listening ear. Most times I'm telling you about my problem. I'm not telling you because I need money and all that. I'm telling you because I need someone that will listen to me, because I already know that this is how I'm going to solve my problem. But it's more a case of like, guys, see you. So I feel like, in that kind of situation, we should also understand that, okay, this is what conceptually women are wired to do. Do you understand? Communicate, and not necessarily because they want solution, because they just want to gist with someone that they consider a partner. Oh, this is what happened in the office, so and all that and all that and all that and all that and all that. And I think that at the core, we should also be people that offer a listening ear to our intended. But then, if someone that you care about, let's say your partner loses a loved one, I don't think you should shame them for feeling vulnerable
Or crying,
at
yeah.
that point in time, because it is a low moment. Like, I don't know, but not everyone has experience.
The
of losing
truth
a
is,
loved one.
vulnerability is needed to build an emotional connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You understand? You need to be vulnerable
Because
to an
if
extent.
you can only be vulnerable around somebody you trust.
safe.
Yeah.
If you don't feel safe,
and
if
then
you
how
don't
do they love you if they don't see that vulnerable side
Yeah.
of you?
Exactly.
But don't you think, great now, don't you think that there is a bigger risk of loss to respect if a man maybe cry is not the word.
A
like
woman
you said.
cannot lose respect for you in a relationship so fast. It happens over time.
Because you
Over time.
cried.
Because you cried.
So let's give an instance. Not necessarily cry. Okay, not.
Okay.
And when I say cry, I don't mean like a one-time thing where they are shocked and they cry.
What I feel is that a woman, to some extent, wants her man to provide this form of emotional stability,
And security.
where she can come and tell you your problem. She tells you your problem and you are crying. What are you crying for?
Sorry, that was so funny. I'm so sorry.
So-
You can't be crying for such
crying.
situations
A
now.
woman wants you to, at least to some extent, be like her rock. Let her come and
Yes, we
talk
get
to
that.
you.
But
Let
what-
her.
But don't you agree that there's a bigger expectation of women to men on that than men to women?
Yeah, I
Of
think
them being the
society doesn't judge a
Yeah,
woman when she
yeah,
cries,
based on what you said.
but society judges.
You're
to
talking
some
about
extent.
society, but what his question
It
was
still
is
boils
in a
down to your initial
relationship,
point of
yes.
society.
Do you think it is okay
Because-
for a man to cry in a? That was his question. Do you think it's okay for a
Not
man?
the one
You
time.
can,
To cry in a
every
relationship.
time.
Not every time.
How
but-
often?
Not every time.
So let's paint a scenario that we have in our head now.
Oh, yeah, I used to do.
So let's say that a woman, right, will most likely out of 10 times, might not be true, please don't come for me, would most likely cry 7 times.
Okay.
And then a man out of 10 times will most likely cry 3 times. Now, trying to make it as basic as possible. If the man intends to start crying 7 times, do you think that there is less tolerance for the man in the relationship?
I feel if you are a man who always cries, your woman cannot see you as a man that she can always come to, because if you cannot handle your own issues, you see her own issues you can't handle, and then it gets to a point where she's thinking this man is not, stable enough for me.
But does it mean that
but there's more patience on men for women who express emotional vulnerability than women than vice versa.
That's why I told you
I
that.
think why that is because like women have generally been seen as more emotional than
It's not seen,
men.
it's true, it's proven, it's confirmed. Women are
Who
more
confirmed
emotional.
it?
Come on now. Come on
No, it's
now.
confirmed.
It's
I don't
confirmed.
know.
It's confirmed.
Yeah, like
Women
I
are
said,
more
all
emotional
these-
than
I mean,
men.
that's
all
true,
these, all
honestly.
these,
If
all
we're
these
being
things
honest, that's
about,
true.
like,
We can't
all these things
being
about,
honest,
like,
that's true.
this one,
Can't
that
deny
one,
that.
that one, that one, this one, and all that, and all that, and all that. I basically don't like to comment on them because, most times you can't also tell things like sample size and the time that these researches were made and the kind of women they had at that time when those researches were made. That's why it's good for people to, like, once you hear something, do you understand, and something you're not sure of, it's best to research more on it to have a more broader perspective. Because I feel generally, I don't think that, okay, a woman's default is to cry at every needless
No,
situation.
yeah,
nobody
If she's
thinks
not
that. I
going
don't
through
think
a
so.
very serious situation, or because also I've been in moments where I was so frustrated, and do you understand? And my what do you call it? My next best action wasn't to cry. My next best action was just to go out, walk around and clear my head. Do you understand? I've also been in situations where I lost a loved one and I couldn't cry because he couldn't just come. And I felt so bad because that was what was expected in the situation for someone to bawl and cry. But then I find myself, maybe I see someone going through a situation and I'm now moved to tears, be it in movies or even in real life situation. So I'm not asking myself, am I broken? Am I not? Because things that pertain to me, they don't make me bald and but then when I see someone, maybe I see someone, I hear something, or I watch something that is very, very touching, it happens to me. So
Let
like
me
I said,
give
it
this
goes down to
scenario.
wiring, really.
In a previous relationship, I don't normally cry. I'm just there. When I feel sad, I'm sad. I allow myself feel my emotions, but crying doesn't come easily to me.
Yeah.
I watched a movie with my partner at that time, and then tears rolled down my cheek, just one eye, and she was laughing at me.
I guess
You
because she had
understand?
never seen you cry.
Yes. She was laughing and she was saying, anytime something happens, I either cry that day,
Oh no,
sure you
that's.
get.
I mean,
That is the way.
that's not okay.
That's the way it is most
That's
times.
where the problem is,
Sure you
and this
get.
is where you know when.
If a man
where
can cry
with whom
and
to
knows
be
that his woman will
vulnerable.
never mention it again, men will be crying anyhow.
Exactly.
But men feel that if they cry, it can be later now. The woman might think it's too
Use it
soft.
against him.
I just
Still
think
goes
that
back to
it's
this societal
communication
construct of
in
stuff.
the core of it. Do you understand? For example, two mature people for example, maybe something like that happens and then she uses it to tease you. And then it's borderline getting offensive. It's the point where you talk to your partner like, really?
Yeah.
I don't like this thing you're doing. Yeah.
You are being
Because she might not even know. She might just doing it. She's just doing it
using
out
a
of.
vulnerable moment of mine
Yeah.
to make fun of me, and I really don't like it. You're going to make me, I'm always going to try to perform for you.
Yeah.
And if she's someone that has sense and she sees how open you are in that situation,
Yeah.
she's
She'll
going
stop
to
doing
take
it.
correction and move back from it. But if she's a foolish person, then she continues doing it and then ends up scattering the relation, because you're going to keep building resentment for
Yeah.
her
True.
in one way or the other, and one day an outburst is going to
So
happen.
yeah, it just
So, yeah, I
depends
just
on the
think,
person, the person
that
you're dating.
That's why I said it's
because
peculiar
some
to
women
the
Yeah.
like
person.
their men to be vulnerable with them. And some I've seen situations where some people I don't want a man to cry around me. I don't like
Thank
that one.
you.
And some
And then find the
situation
one that will be
whereby
hard.
somebody say, I don't understand why he can't
Why
cry
you're not
around
crying?
me. Because like
Exactly.
to them, it's
Like,
like,
I need
you
to
don't
show that
trust me.
emotion.
You don't feel safe
No,
around
a
me.
lot of time when the women say, a lot of times, so the thing is that women sometimes like the idea of it. Women are idealists. I always
Yes.
say women are
When it
idealists.
happens now, you
When
don't
it
know how
happens
you
sometimes, they
feel.
realize that they can't handle it. So I'll give context to that. He said something. He said that he's saying something like the one was saying something like he's too soft, right? Which basically means that okay, now you're seeing his emotion and you're complaining that he's too soft, right? I know, and this is just personal, right? It doesn't have to be like the general rule. But I know of someone that was always complaining that the man does not cry. The man does not cry. She's trying to always get the man to express himself. When the man starts expressing, she says, no, you're a man, you should be able to handle some things. So I feel like sometimes...
I think what women want from men is not necessarily crying. They just want you to be vulnerable.
Yes, like show
Don't-
emotions.
There are times when I know you should be showing emotions. You should
And you're
be,
just
but
there,
you are
like
just
nothing-
for
nothing
me.
happened.
That means you are performing.
Yeah.
You get.
Sure.
But there are times when you should show emotions. Show the emotions. There's nothing really wrong. If she takes it another way, you know that okay, this is not
I
a
have a
woman I can
question
show
for you.
emotions to easily.
Did you ever see your dad like cry? Express
Do you know?
emotion?
I thought of this morning. I was like, I
Once.
never saw my dad cry.
Once. Same here. I think when he lost his brother, just sat down there and thing was just rolling down his eyes. Just so I feel like tears is not something. I will not say it's not something that comes easily for a man. But one thing I'll say is that tears is just is a form of is an outlet, and it's not the only outlet. I feel like also men have also other ways by which they let out. Some people go and lift iron. Do you understand? If I'm going through a bad day and I go to the gym, I feel better afterwards. I just feel like I've transferred all that aggression to the iron. Sometimes when I take a long walk and then I play that scenario in my head over and over again, and I see that maybe I'm the one overthinking it. It's not necessarily a problem, and I feel better. So everybody has their own individual outlet.
People
in the
actually
long run
respect
and
you
all that.
more when you claim to be this, or you behave like a strong guy and then you show emotions easily. You understand? People respect you more. This guy can be, you understand? Let's say you're married to a woman for like 4 years. You have never cried in that 4 years. And then something happens and then you cry out yourself to her. And you don't cry again, maybe another 3-4 years. That moment, if she's an emotionally intelligent woman, she respects you more because she sees that and she even trusts you more now.
Yeah.
And
You
then some
understand?
people
Because
that
use-
deeper
some people
connection
can
that
use
you
tears
build.
as
it's not like I cry every
manipulation.
time, but you cry
Yeah,
when it's
definitely.
needed. It makes
Exactly.
more sense.
When it's
it's
needed.
sometimes
It's not like
it's
you're
not
always
even-
whining.
Yes.
Because
Tears
Make more
out
sense.
of pain. It's tears because they want to gaslight you and manipulate you. So crying is not necessarily like that.
Thank you.
But there are other ways of showing vulnerability.
Okay, but do we agree that there is a bigger demand on that's in the context of relationship and on a general level, not as relationship to relationship, but on a general level, there's a general expectation for women to be given a more liberty to be emotionally expressive than men in terms of venting out.
I don't think anybody is stopping any man from crying in this day and age.
Okay.
It's all in your head. If you want to cry, cry. They might judge you for 1 or 2 days. Everybody's busy thinking about themselves. If you like cry, if you like don't cry. Nobody really cares.
I would say that
Okay.
life hasn't really hit you. To be honest, there are some certain things that will happen to you. You may not cry in
You don't
front
even
of
know.
a woman or cry in front of anybody, but you stay on your own and just be crying by yourself. Life can hand you some very tough balls that will just break you down as a human being. You will reconsider your life as a person. So the fact that most people are not coming online to come and say, oh, I cried in this situation.
doesn't mean they're not
doesn't
crying.
mean that
Or
they are
they-
not
crying, they're
crying.
crying.
Doesn't necessarily mean that they are not crying.
Yeah.
It possibly means that probably, okay, I don't feel like sharing this part of myself
So,
with you, and I
yeah.
want it to be with amongst people that I feel that I'm going to be safe
Yeah.
around. Because the thing is that society would always use tears to taunt a man as a person. For example, I'll use myself for example now. Okay, I did a TV show where I was very vulnerable, and I haven't heard the last of it till today. Like, the memes keep going up, and then, people will be saying things like, oh, yeah, maybe if I have an opinion on the social issues, like, mumu you feel, mumu you real life, now why they make you cry, now why they... And I'm thinking, like, is this supposed to be like an insult? Like, I got paid for this shit. Like, so
I told you about.
I
I
would
told
do
you
it.
yesterday. I told you about a post that you made yesterday that went viral. I checked the comment section and somebody said, "I they blame the person will rescue you." You know,
From
you now
kidnapping.
you were
It doesn't even make
kidnapped.
sense to me. Like, it's a film, and it really goes to show, like, and then it really goes to show, like, the IQ of people. Like, people are actually very unintelligent. and
But the truth
cannot
is,
draw
most times it's cruise,
analysis.
at the end of
Do
the
you
day,
understand? It
it might still just be
you have to
cruise.
take it.
yeah,
Like, keep
be-
it, cut it short, keep it
like
to an extent.
there's a place where it is cruise,
To an
but then
extent.
when you are now, I mean, like, it just really boils down to your psychology and all that. Like, how do you think that this is like an insult? It doesn't make sense.
That's why I told you. That's why I say it's
And
cruise.
but then it now exposes a more deeper underlying issue about men showing vulnerability and how it is perceived in the society
As weakness.
because people like actors like Nkiru Silvanos, Chinwe Owo, Hilda Dokubo that have cried on screen. They don't see it as like good, but a man does it like, hey, you allow
Give me
using
what man cries on? I'm trying to remember.
I don't think there's. Am I the first crier on
funny.
TV? That's weird. I'm just trying to say
Very
that. I'm just trying to say that it exposes an underlying issue that men showing vulnerability is supposed to be a means to shame them. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because this is such a vulnerable moment for anybody. Would I do it
Yeah.
again? Absolutely yes. And for better
Yeah.
pay, hell yes. But what I'm just trying to say is that it's like, will I say, an expose on society.
Yeah.
Look at who you are now. Can you see why men are not being vulnerable?
Yeah.
Because you are going to use
And
it
to think about
and
it
mess them
now
up.
that we just spoke about it, a lot of male characters on screen are not shown, like their vulnerable parts are not really shown.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Because now
about
that
it.
I asked about it, which other male character
We couldn't
has,
think of anybody.
I couldn't
Because
really
I
think
remember
of
then
any
they'll be like,
character. I mean, there was Joker.
if something happened, he'll stand up and look up and all that. Because that's what men have been looked up at. Like, that's vulnerability. He touched his heart, he held it. So
He held it
and then,
in.
and all that. And I feel like, it's an expose on society. Like, are we being fair to men?
Yeah.
Because, so men should not have an outlet. And I
Yeah,
believe that we should have really, like, very good male spaces where men can be truly vulnerable.
I feel
Because men
like
can't even ask for help.
as people in the media space, I feel that we can also help shape that narrative, like the way that character was written and then was given that chance to be vulnerable on screen. We can, when we show more male characters being vulnerable, I feel like it will make for a safer space for men to feel like, okay, I've seen this person crying. I've not just crying. I've seen this person being
to your
vulnerable.
subconscious,
Exactly.
your subconscious,
You
it just
feel
shows
like
you that.
so if this person can do this, that means it's okay for me to do it.
Yeah.
That means it's not wrong for me to be expressive. It's not wrong for me to be vulnerable. But because like we don't show it a lot, people feel like this one, and then you show one person and then that one person turns to the meme for the next 10 years because it's not a normal thing. So we need to normalize men being
Showing
vulnerable
emotions and
and
being
showing
vulnerable.
emotions on screen, because of course we know media is a very powerful tool to
Reshape society.
reshaping the society.
But I believe vulnerability of men should be, a man should be vulnerable to somebody he trusts, man
Yeah.
or woman actually. That's why when you said to the man be vulnerable, I actually wanted to say, okay, I think I actually mentioned it too. Who are you vulnerable to?
Yeah.
You don't need
It
to be
matters.
vulnerable to everybody.
Yeah, you
That's
should
because
because
pick your
the
people,
people,
yeah.
the
I
heart
mean,
of man
thank
is
you.
inherently evil.
People use
I
vulnerable
mean, we
moments
can
to-
look
pick
at
your people
But
and
you
be
know-
vulnerable to them. There's really no issue.
but you know, in terms of vulnerability, I don't think women need to. So men are shamed, like you said. For being
Yes.
Like
Women are not necessarily in society. Yeah.
I have groups and communities where men daily come to share their problems. You understand? It's a group that is always running every day, minute by minute. People are coming to. So men are vulnerable there. And I will tell you why they are easily vulnerable there is because they don't know each other. Yeah.
Anonymity.
Men want to talk actually. Men want to express themselves. But they
for
are
the
scared.
fear.
Do you understand me?
That they're
A
going
man
to be
shared his
judged.
problems with me because I don't know him. I'm sure if we were friends, my friends do not share their relationship problems with me. But people that I don't know share their relationship problems with me.
I
Do you
understand
get?
what you're saying.
Men are just scared. You know, they are scared to share their problems with other people, with people who are close to them. But they don't have a problem sharing their problems with people who they might never meet, people who
Again.
are far from them.
Yeah.
You understand? That's where women draw their strength from. They can share their problems with anybody who is available, who they trust. But a man, even if he trusts you, a man can trust you with his life, but not tell you that his girlfriend cheated on him.
That's true.
Do you know?
It's easier for a woman to say her boyfriend.
Do you know?
Yes, actually.
So men
actually.
don't share their problems, and it's wrong. Men should actually share your problems. Let your guy help you find solution. Let your woman help you find the solution. If they can't find, but they say a problem shared, the problem half solved. Most
It's
times
just
it's
that
true.
memo.
It's true most
just-
times,
you
but
just
it depends on
need
who you're sharing with. That's just it.
But how can men even learn to even speak up? Because if you speak up, you most likely be shamed. Not
You
always,
should not
most
speak up to
likely.
the public. When you want to start speaking up, you don't need
Yeah.
to speak up
It's
to
not-
everybody.
You don't
Probably.
necessarily
You can
have
start
to.
your speaking
Everybody
up.
come out.
Yes.
Something
You
don't
get-
happen. No.
Speak to your guy. Speak to your guy.
Yeah.
You understand?
I
Speak
think
to your
that's
guy. Speak
like
to
I said,
anybody.
it comes down to us providing more safe spaces.
Yeah.
You know, where men can be very expressive. I feel like in this generation we are such a like individualistic in a certain extent. You know, everybody just wants to be on their own, do their life, etc.
Yeah.
But then our parents had,
Community.
you know, clubs, associations,
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
that. You know, if we can have more forums for like men to like
Yeah.
sit around,
Yeah.
you know,
You'll be
talk
surprised
about
what-
their
what
problem.
men- you'll be surprised
you
what
understand,
men want to
stories
tell
that
you.
men will tell
To the
and all
detail,
that.
they will
I
tell
was
you
actually thinking
how
about-
every men they
I was
want to
actually thinking
talk
about how that
actually.
this morning that most of the NGOs or non-profits are mostly advocating for girl child. It's very hard for you to see an NGO that is advocating for the boy child. Like there are very few in comparison to the ones that advocate for the women, right? And I was also thinking of how that men also get sexually assaulted, but you don't hear it because they are not going to come out and tell you that,
Yeah,
oh, I
they
was
don't
sexually
talk.
assaulted. But women, I don't know, they just feel
Even if they don't tell the world, they will
they'll
tell somebody.
but even for a man to even tell just one person that he trusts, he might not necessarily tell somebody that, oh, I was sexually assaulted or this happened to me. And I mean, that's just the problem.
I feel like there's this lady I know that actually does an NGO thing for boys. But I also feel like men need to also take responsibility
Yeah.
for
For
the next
themselves.
generation
The truth is that
of men.
in this
that
generation,
are
when a man
coming
does
up
that,
and all
actually,
that.
sometimes he's tagged that he does it. I know the number of people that have told me that I don't like women, that I hate women, that I'm a misogynist
You know,
because I focus on men.
You,
But you know what you're
continue
doing. You know,
focusing and
you
you know
the
the
reason you're
impact
doing what
that
you're
is
doing.
having.
So you just
You
I don't
focus,
think-
you
yeah,
continue
I just
because
think-
right there you don't know which other guy you are inspiring to do, because as you are inspiring that person, the person wants to start their own
Yeah.
and
And
help more
inspire
people.
other people.
The person inspires another, so like that way it starts.
A chain
Yeah,
reaction.
the fire
Yeah,
starts
yeah,
igniting and it turns to a full flame. You know.
I just feel like we should create like I said, we should just create like, you know, men should also take responsibility for the next generation of
Yeah.
men that we are raising. You
Yeah.
understand? It's a thing of like taking responsibility for them and all that. We shouldn't wait for someone else. Everybody, women are
Yeah.
taking responsibility
For
for
their
ladies.
own-
Exactly.
How about
That's what I'm
always
saying.
take
been.
responsibility for
That's
men
true.
and
I agree with that.
educate young boys on what it means to be a real man.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
sense of being a
Yeah.
real man. Yeah.
You're in a traditional setting whereby the man provides,
Yeah.
that's what the woman nurtures. Let's say the woman has like her own this thing, but not so wealthy, but maybe enough to get by.
Okay.
And so let's say the man loses his job.
Yeah.
Right. Now, originally, the man would be the one buying things, giving children money for school fees, this one, that one. Now the man loses his job. Do you think that it should be made obvious to the children that the man is no longer the one? So by that I don't mean now shaming him or no. I mean like so already the children expect that okay, their father is the one to give them certain things.
Yeah.
Do you think that you do it in such a way whereby they now know that it's no longer your father, or it's now me doing this thing?
Like they don't need to know. That's
know,
like between you and your husband or your boyfriend or whoever it is you're dating. That's between the both of you. The kids don't need to know, because kids, they will grow up with that mindset that, oh, my father was not providing for me, it was my mother. Do you get? And then they now kind of look down on the father. Meanwhile, it's supposed to be a thing where if there's financial situation whereby the man cannot provide anymore, it's not that the man has never been providing. He has always been providing, but there's a financial difficulty that he's no more able to provide to the extent that he would have before, right? But the woman is able to take over. Like you take over and it becomes like a teamwork sort of thing, and you don't do it in a way that it's like I said earlier, men have ego and you rub it in his face, or you go and let your children know that, oh, this man is not providing you school fees anymore, I'm the one, so everybody should mind what they are doing, yada yada yada, all of that. So no, don't rub it in his face, because I mean he's always going to get
companionship.
Why can't the children know that your father is not the one providing? And
why do you need to know that?
Why does lack of provision equal disrespect?
Okay,
No, it's not. I don't think it's a
They don't need
place
to
of
know that.
It
disrespect.
comes down to how the family unit perceives marriage at the forefront, because once they see each other's as co-parents, as partners in this marriage thingy that are helping each other out, it also reflects in how the children would view the situation on ground.
Yeah.
For example, there are times my mom will get me stuff, will get something, I'm like, man, thank your father. Oh, he's the one that completed the money that I used in buying this thing. She was instinctively, inducing something, because an attitude of gratitude, do you understand, to my dad. Till today, I don't know if it was my friend that gave her the money to buy it, do you understand? But it's just, and then in my household where I grew up, we had like a very open, what they call it. My father is a very open man. As at when I was in primary school, I knew what my dad was earning. At that time, I knew what my dad was earning. Do you understand? As at that time. So, it wasn't like nothing was like gossip, or nothing was news, or nothing was that one and all that. And my dad, being the kind of person he is, he saw school fees as he didn't care if school fees, house is responsible. He didn't care what my mother was doing with her money. My mother was earning, do you understand? My mom was earning a salary, but he necessarily didn't put his eye in like, oh, what is this woman earning? He saw everything as his responsibility. So he never bothered about, okay, what's this woman contributing? He never cared for that. His own was that as a man, my responsibility is to take care of my family and all that. I think even recently when I traveled home and I was with my dad, and he was telling me that, see, as a young man, take care of yourself, spend, enjoy, do you understand? And also save, because once you get married, your priority are going to be your wife and your children. That was his own form of indoctrination. So I feel like once there's a certain level of openness in the family, do you understand? It wouldn't even matter. Everything that is being done, nobody is saying, oh, it is daddy that did this one, it is mommy that did this one.
The point is it getting done?
Is it getting done?
It is getting
my school
done.
fees has not paid. No problem, it will be paid. Whoever eventually
who is paying it is not the issue. The issue is the solving of the solution.
It is the couple themselves that know what, we are working together to achieve this. And then the man's situation is not a long-term situation. Time will come and the situation will move on. So you now come and say, okay, children, come home. Now, the father now has a job. He's the one paying your school.
Yeah, because by the time the man was the one
catering for everything.
He wasn't making it.
He wasn't saying everybody
I'm the one that's shooting the entire
come and
family.
take your school fees. I'm the one that is giving you everything.
So the woman doesn't have to rub it in the man's face or start shouting it that she's the one that is taking care of things.
There's no real reason
need for that. And then children's mind are very young.
Exactly, and they're not expose them to the next thing. They start, like Loveth said, they start thinking about, this man never really came through for me. He wasn't taking care of me.
But don't you think that the man can serve in other roles? So, for instance, since he's now in a position, since the woman is while he's trying to get himself back on his feet, since the woman is now in the better position to now be the one to provide.
Financially
speaking now, the woman should now move to the forefront of provision, and while the man is trying to get back on his feet, he should move towards the household. Like,
Of course,
now,
I mean,
because
it's not a bad idea. For example, while he's at home, do you understand?
I mean,
He can
it's
be
not something
helping
that he has
out to
already
the
been
children.
doing.
It's
Do you
something that
understand?
you've already
It's
been
also
doing.
So it shouldn't
part
be a
of it.
problem in the
For
first
example,
place.
no, but
for example,
bigger demand anyway.
for example, let's assume because of the kind of work I do as an actor, do you understand? I have sometimes off time where I am at home from Monday to Friday within the week, not doing anything. Probably I'm not filming that period. And then I have a wife that has like a 9 to 5 where she goes to work and come back. So I expect her that she'll wake up in the morning as she's preparing for work, she'll be bathing the children. Do you understand? Then she will not take them to school. Do you understand? And then she'll go to
Meanwhile,
work from
you're
there.
at your
Meanwhile,
house sitting there.
I will sleep.
Wake
then
up
wake
by
up and
11
stretch.
a.m.
But then I see that I have off time. Do you understand? I'm like,
Yeah.
this would be a perfect opportunity to bond because my
Yeah.
work takes me out of maybe the city, out of the house. I spend long nights and long days. This is the time to bond my children.
Yeah.
I'll bathe them. I'll dress them up. I'll
Take
get
them
them
to
ready for
school.
school. Like I always like I have this vivid memory of my dad taking me to school. It's like because I know that snacks will be different grade. Do you understand? Because it is my dad. My dad is very like liberal when it comes to this. Because that thing is anytime my dad is picking me up from school, I shall know that we'll stop at Mr. Biggs. Do you understand? And there was Fiesta and there was Mr. Biggs Big Cola. You know, all those things. So I have those moments and I also want to build this kind of memories also with my own children when I have them. So these are bonding moments that you do. So I think also perspective to life. Do you understand? This thing could also be an avenue for you to divert your attention to something else in the meantime why something else comes up. So like I said, it's how people perceive life in the long run.
Yeah, so it boils down to having a partner that you people have you see things on like the same
level.
way.
Same wavelength,
So not somebody that thinks that once a man is down, no respect for him again or anything. Like so these are the things that you talk about before
you get into a
marriage.
relationship.
So you know that so what happens in the case that something goes wrong and you're no longer earning as you used to. So what do we do? So like because people bypass all these important questions and then now go into the marriage and then now start saying, me, I'm not going to start paying any. Meanwhile, you're there to be a companion. You're there to it's like bread and butter. The two slices you're supposed
two sides of the coin.
Exactly, to work together, not as a one unit. You're supposed to be together, working as each other's partner. So for me, I feel like it's just unnecessary.
I agree.
You agree?
Wow.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. All right. Sure. Let me give you a maker.
To me.
Should men be shamed for not being able to cook?
Should men be shamed for not being able to cook? I don't know. Is there a cooking competition? So if you go for a cooking competition and you don't know how to cook, I don't necessarily feel like shame is the response that you should get for it. But what I would say in that regard is that cooking is a life skill, and it's not just a skill that is left for a particular person. Irrespective of who it is. And just like you rightly mentioned, funny enough, true story, most times, most of the conversations I had with my mom and my elder brother were all in the kitchen. My sisters weren't kitchen people like that compared to, and so my elder brother is a very good cook. Myself, I'm a good cook. I would say very good, but I try my best. Do you understand? And all that. So everybody, do you understand, had their time in that department. So I shall know that you don't pour oil and then fry water inside oil. Do you understand? I shall know that when the process of making certain meals, certain things, Indomie. Do you understand? Certain things. So I feel like it's a life skill. So if you are someone that enjoys to eat, you should also have like at least
the basic skills
to cooking. And I don't think it's a shame thing also there are also people that do not have interest in cooking, and this one is not societal standards or anything. I just don't like anything that involves kitchen, both male and female. Get your coins up and
hire
a chef. You understand? That will be doing the cooking for you.
Exactly.
And then if God blesses you, you find a partner that absolutely enjoys watching you eat. Your bread has been
paradise
buttered in the long run. Sure. So I just think that's my honest opinion on that.
Okay. Loveth, how about you?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with him.
Yeah, for sure, because like you said, it's a basic skill, so everybody needs to have that basic life survival skill. Yeah, but then if you don't have it, maybe because of your environment, the environment you grew up in, because maybe for some reasons your parents did not parent towards that direction of, teaching you or putting you in situations where you'll be able to learn. And then I don't feel like you should shame the person for, because it's not every woman, like we make it to appear as cooking is a woman's thing. It's not every woman that can cook. So, and it's not even every woman that likes to cook either. So if the person, because the way I see life is that we came here not by, I did not pregnant myself, or I did not pregnant my mother. She came together with somebody. They chose to bring me forth. So I feel like it is your parents' responsibility to shape you into the kind of person you now, have your own values as a person when you are much older.
But at the same time, it's also up to you to unlearn, relearn certain things that your parents have imbibed in you.
That's what I'm saying. When you are much older and then you're able to think for yourself, you are now able to see, okay, this thing they taught me, maybe it's not the best way to approach life and all those kind of, situations. But on the basic place, it is the parents' responsibility to shape a child. But unfortunately, if your parents have not shaped you that way, there's nothing you can do about it. If it's something that interests you, to go and learn about it. If you have the time and the resources to learn about it. But if they not do this thing, it's not the reason that people now start shaming you for it. It's not, you're not the one that born yourself. They born you. So the person that born you should have.
And then even women too. I don't think women should be shamed too.
And that's what I'm saying.
How to cook.
Both man and woman.
Irrespective of,
because they did not born themselves. They did not raise themselves.
Because like you were talking about crying now
themselves.
and how society reacts to a man crying. Society also reacts to a woman not knowing how to cook. Hey! You don't know how to cook. Wow.
Abomination.
But don't you think that there are gender-based rules that society applies? So, for instance, now moving to more societal ascribed masculine rules. So, for instance, imagine a family whereby the son does not know what plug is in a generator, does not know maybe how to wash the car.
If there are people that are very wealthy, nothing usually concerns
plug.
Yeah, but fitting to the average individual.
If I have issues with my generator, I don't even touch anything. I get a mechanic to come and fix it because I didn't study engineering.
Exactly.
Before I can touch something in the generator and spoil it. Do you understand?
Yeah. Or even hurt yourself because you don't know what is
because you
what.
don't know. Do you understand?
Okay.
And then also, I don't have interest in learning because if I have interest in learning, I'm someone that if I'm curious about something, I don't care. As long as you say how much is it, say, I'll pay you. You do it. And I'll get that satisfaction from doing it. So, like I said, it also boils down to what? Interest. Is it my interest? Do I want to learn that thing? And to be honest, I don't care about generators. Do you understand? Let's use solar.
No, I don't think men should be shamed. I think they should be educated. If you enjoy eating, you should learn how to cook.
You should learn.
You understand? Because it's something that you will always need.
Yeah.
Even if you get married, your wife might not. Even if your wife enjoys cooking, what of when she's not
feeling fine or something?
When she's not feeling
and
well.
even if you're not married, when you are growing up as a man, it will save you more money if you know how to cook. It will save you more money.
If not just they're ordering food every day, child deck.
It will make you more. It will increase your network because when you meet people that cannot cook and you can cook, you can make friends through cooking. You understand? So you can build a network through what you know how to do. A skill. And then to the whether you should shame women for not cooking, for not knowing how to cook or not, I don't think women should be shamed for not knowing how to cook. But if you know that, let's say 80% of men look out for cooking skills in a woman and you know you want to get married, there's a high probability that you meet a man who would want a woman who knows how to cook. So why not learn how to cook too?
In a case like that, what do you think should happen? So the woman should learn how to cook, okay?
No. In a case like that, you talk to her. If she doesn't want to learn how to cook, you can't force her now.
Exactly. I think.
You understand?
But Okay.
You can even make it more fun. Both of you learn how to cook.
Exactly.
That is if
Okay.
you are
Do you
both
get-
I think
interested.
Interested.
when
If you're
you
not
like,
interested,
I
you
think
go and
when
look
you
for a
like
chef.
someone,
You
when
understand?
you like someone, there are certain
more fun
things
learning
that you
something
take
new
an
with someone you
actual
like.
effort to do just to make that person happy.
Happy.
I'm of that opinion. But then when you see that I've tried, like or no like, I've tried this thing,
And it's
it's
not working.
just not me. See, everybody has their own type.
Yeah.
You will find a man that doesn't care about cooking. What he likes is that my wife is intelligent. I've met people like that.
Yeah.
The wife can't cook for shit, but
But
he's
your
bragging
probability,
rights.
the probability,
But don't you think that if
probability
80%
of meeting a man
But-
that doesn't like a woman or that doesn't value cooking skills in a woman is very low.
There's a lot
You'll
of
be
them
patient,
now.
you find the person.
There's a lot of them
Exactly.
now.
You find the person.
So it appears like
Patient for how long?
It appears
No,
like,
I feel that
This
Jonathan,
is
is a
you
woman
that
that-
wants to find
Sorry,
a woman.
do you understand?
This is,
You
no, I'm
find-
talking about the woman. This
No,
is,
that's what I'm
this is
talking
a
about,
woman that
the
wants
woman.
to get married.
If
you
you want
want to
to-
get married. And you know that majority of marriageable men
You find the
value
person that will
cooking.
suit you
you understand?
where you are.
Because I feel
Not
like
for a
if
woman,
you
the
now
man comes to you in most cases.
If like no go to the man now.
so
see,
so I think
I
might
know
be
people.
practical
Okay,
for
men
one
that
person.
are men that are
But not-
chefs,
not
men that
in
are
white,
chefs,
right?
like
Yeah.
are renowned chefs that are very good chefs. Do you think their wives care about cooking?
No, of course not. But don't forget those men are exceptions.
Eh?
Those men are exceptions.
That's what I'm trying to say is that you will find.
You will find your
It's
person.
like
You will
looking for. It's
you will
looking for.
find.
It's
Exactly.
looking
If
it is-
everybody
if it is
feels
a
that they will be
situa-
the exception,
No,
then
it's
they will
not
be the
about being
exception.
the
Exception.
exception.
For example,
Find
there's nothing
what
about
suits
going
you.
around.
No, let me
Find
explain.
what suits you. Don't. I
Yeah.
feel like honestly, I'm of the opinion that as a person, you shouldn't compromise on the things that make you because there's going to be a little harboring of resentment
Yes,
Do you
true.
think-
underneath.
Do you think
Thank
not knowing how to
you.
cook makes you?
Eh?
Do you think what? No,
Some
no, no.
people don't like the kitchen. I've met people like that. They don't want to near the
that's
kitchen.
true.
In
If
their-
you
in
if
their
you
house,
as a man
in
know
their
that
house.
you value cooking in a woman, you should not marry a woman
Exactly,
who
that
doesn't have
doesn't
interest
value
in
Don't go
cooking.
and
That
bother
doesn't
marrying
try-
If not, you will
somebody,
just frustrate her.
changing her
Make your
into-
peace. Okay, this food thing.
Or if you can
Belinda,
compromise.
this food thing is very important to me.
But-
I like you. But you see this food own, that's the line we cannot cross. Mwah.
And most
Bye.
times, if you haven't,
You go
if
to-
you are a good man to a woman, she might want to even do what she doesn't know how to do.
Do
She
you
might want to learn
understand?
from
I don't
you.
understand. People make
So it depends on the
compromises.
presentation and how
But if
you
you see that the person is not
communicate.
compromising,
You
move
see this one,
on. Look for
we
the
will
next
get, say we
person.
will get chef. Even say most times as you say we will get chef, we say will you pay for the chef? So no problem as long as I show you eat the food. sir.
Maybe you eat now.
People are ordering food bowls now and keeping in their house. So
True.
food is such a minute thing to be such a big
These
issue.
things are
Yeah.
no more
It's not
problems
minute.
anymore.
It's minute at the beginning. It's not minute when you have kids and you need structure.
That
in
is
your home.
actually true. That is even
When you
that's
have children and
actually
you eat
true.
3 times a day, it's to cause the biggest problems in your
Then you
marriage.
start buying food outside.
That
start
is
buying
why we are
bowls.
talk about all these things before
Before you get into a relationship.
But
That's
you
what I'm
should know
saying.
that.
That's what I'm saying.
How many
That's what I'm
relationships have you
saying.
entered that before you entered, you
that
talked
cook for
about these
them
things?
Yeah,
and their
same.
children.
And
What
their
are you talking
children.
about? You're
Yes,
talking about
no.
this
So
thing.
Talking
if-
about cooking, who will
it
cook
is-
and who will not
do you
cook.
understand? If it is your thing that I want my wife to be cooking for my children, then let that be the top of your priority. When
And
searching for a
discuss
woman.
it with
And
her.
discuss with her. See,
No be say
I want to
you
be
come
now
and
you
slave her.
start come you now start
because I
saying
know there are
it
some
when you're
people
already
I've
in
heard
marriage.
of stories of men that say that they like eating fresh food, and there are also
You
women
starve.
that anything that enters the fridge will not enter their stomach. It's ridiculous, yes.
Very,
but
very.
I assure you, they will find their type.
Yeah.
Well,
They
Definitely.
will find their type. People that will marry them
but it ain't
because
me.
this is it. I love my husband. Your husband say like
Not
fresh
everybody
food.
will find their type.
It ain't
Not
me.
everybody will find their type. Some people
Some people-
compromise
some people-
along the
Exactly.
journey because of lack of
Exactly.
patience.
Yeah.
Because if you had
Exactly.
waited till you turn 50, you find your type. If you're patient enough, you find your type.
Okay.
See, everybody has their spec in this life that matches their
Yeah.
everything. You will find it. And I
There
feel
are
like yeah,
families that like they've been on for like 23 years and they've always had a chef from the onset, from the time they
The woman doesn't
before
know
they
what the kitchen
even
feels like.
before they even
All she
gave
comes
birth
to do
to
is
children.
inspect.
Make sure that you're not putting too much salt. My husband doesn't like too much salt. That is all her own is. And you serve the food because like they can
he
afford
doesn't
that.
like onions
Yeah.
in his
Exactly,
jollof.
they can
Simple.
afford that.
They
If you can afford it, it's good and fine.
All this is
It
should not be a-
I
should
wanted
not be
to
an
say that.
issue.
Let me not even say it, sha, but I wanted to say that all these things, I feel like at the core, it boils down to people's prejudices and preferences in
Yeah.
the long run, because there are people that don't send these things. Oh,
That's
who's
true.
cooking the food? I
That's
just
true.
want
actually.
And your
Because
pockets
when
too.
when a man
and
finds a
also
woman
money
who
too,
And your
is
because
pockets.
valuable
it's
to
actually
him,
people that are trying to manage.
Yes, that will start
That will
talking
say,
about why you
Chef
not
is
cooking, why are we
expensive.
ordering?
My Igbo people will say that onya chosin na stout na kilo. Until like a person that is baline attached, someone that
My guy don't go
is an
speak Igbo.
compliment, someone that doesn't have money. Do you understand? We always say that stout is bitter, that they should give him a cheaper alternative. Maybe give me bottled water and all that. So because pocket, that is your economy calculate. Chef, why are we paying chef? Why can't I?
Yeah. Great, you're saying a man that finds a woman who's valuable to him.
I said a man who finds a woman is valuable to you. I'm not sure that man will let go of the woman just because she
She
cannot
can't
cook.
cook.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So
Because
find
that
creative
is
ways for
not
solution,
the
right?
entire
Yes.
situation.
True,
Because if
sir.
a
I
woman
think I
brings
agree
more,
with
if
that.
a woman brings value to the table, cooking is
Very
the
Very
least.
Of the
minute.
problem.
The list now.
What you
The
know eating
list,
before you
it's
got
the
married?
list.
Nah,
It's
Jokwan.
the list.
The
Just that
buka
some
you
men
eat with
enjoy
the
their
woman
women
that's
cooking for
cooking
them.
Oh,
Okay. Okay. That's fine. So anyone has anything else to add?
I feel like we have
We really,
Yeah.
stepped on the
flogged-
head.
Great.
even answered some things twice, 3
I know,
times,
right?
4 times.
Okay, no problem. I need to get workshop for no while. Okay. Yeah, so thank you guys. Thank you, Ruby.
Thank
you,
you.
Emeka. Thank you, Loveth. Thank you, Great.
Thank you. Thank
for
you
coming
too.
out the way just to
But I have one question though.
thank you.
Yes, I wanted to ask, do you feel like men have traditional roles in society that they should stick to?
Do I think that it's prevalent right now, or do I believe it should be prevalent?
Yeah, do you think it should be prevalent that men should have like, oh, this thing, it must be a man that will do it?
Do you mean like job roles or generally within the
Yeah,
context of-
general role within the society. Like, do you think that there are things
If
like,
we are speaking as regards job roles, not necessarily. I think the most qualified person should be given
Opportunity.
job.
Yeah.
So what that means is I don't believe in saying let's employ 50 men and 50 women. I believe in saying let's throw things at random and let's give everyone equal opportunities and pick the most competent. And if that competence involves 80% women and 20% men, good. If that involves 95% of men and 5% of women, as long as those men deserved it, give it to them. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
Now, but in the context of a relationship or a marriage, I do believe that there are certain things that you look up to. So for us to say that there are things that are required of a man, that means that we are trying to say that in more cases than not, there are certain things that if you don't have the man doing, there are certain consequences that are unique that a woman will not be able to fulfill. So, for instance, now, in the Black community, we can see that Black Americans, right? We can see the consequences of not growing up with your father, right? Now, not growing up with your father can lead to an increase. That's the likelihood of a child to go into crime. So what that means is that you have about 32% of blacks in the prisons. Now, out of these 33% of blacks, 70% of them didn't grow up with fathers. So most of them grew up with mothers. So we can see that there are consequences to, and these mothers most likely tried their best. So we can see that there are consequences to not having a father figure in the home. Same thing, there are consequences to not having mother figures in the home. But these consequences differ, and it's because of what each gender has to offer uniquely. I do believe that a woman, in more cases than not, will find it harder to control a son, right? So rather, a man would find it easier to control a son than control a daughter. I'll give you an instance. I had a friend, when he was growing up, right? His mother tried to beat him once, and he tried to, fight her, but father was dead. Father dealt with him, beat the hell out of him, right? Ever since that day, he could never try that again. Why? Because he had an authority that was bigger than him in terms of physical sheer strength, size, in terms of perception that this guy will kill me. He had that, and that put him under certain restrictions, right? So we can see that there are certain things that men bring to the table that a woman will not be able to bring to the table, and part of which might be bad from a biological perspective. I also understand that I also understand that women generally want that strong force, that force of, so for instance now, if a thief is breaking into the house, what the first thing that comes to a woman's mind, they are both scared, but the first thing that comes to a woman's mind is, okay, let us hide. Maybe my husband would go and maybe ensure that everywhere is safe, right? that's the first that comes to the woman's mind. We go and hide with the kids or something. The first thing that comes to the man's mind is I need to protect my family, right? I need to ensure that everywhere is locked. So I have a friend, when he was in JS1, they were eating dinner. Now, robbers came in, right? First instinct, nobody said you go. First instinct, the mother ran. The children followed the mother. They went to go and hide. The father ran to the door to go and ensure that the door was closed. The guy was shot in the neck. He still died in the process, right? But by instinct, the father knew that my job was to protect my family, right? In a life or death situation. The woman knew that my job is to go and hide and also try and shield my kids, right? So in that context, you can say that a woman needs certain leadership skills from a man, so that involves protection. Now, not necessarily down to protection. There are other things, the emotional things that they need that is mutual. But there are certain things that men need to do from a traditional perspective. Now, as to the aspect of provision, I don't necessarily believe that a man has to be the one to provide, right? But I also think that if you want to be the one to provide in your home, that's fine. But I don't necessarily think that we can stick to that.
I just wanted to get your perspective on
Yeah.
general topic.
Yeah, but I do think that women need men who serve as rocks. Men need women who serve as that support system that I can lean on. That's just what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I'll just say that in the upbringing of a child, every parent, like every parental figure, plays a pivotal role.
Yeah.
Do you understand? You know, there's always going to be the hard parent and the soft parent.
Good cop, bad cop.
Bad cop in that situation.
Yeah.
And most people always think the good cop is the mom, the bad cop is the dad.
Yeah.
But it's not the case. Sometimes the bad cop is actually the mom, and
Yeah.
the good cop
Yes,
is
I agree.
the dad.
Father.
But in every situation, each parent should present them in such a way that, see you, we are on a united
Front,
on
exactly.
an issue, and everything we are doing is for the best interest of the child
Yeah.
at the long run. Because as a young person, I always felt like, oh, my dad was being too hard on me. As an adult now, I'm even going to
understand now.
appreciate him more as a father. Just, back then, I don't even like, I'm like, if I grow up, I'll not talk to this man again and all that. But now as an adult, I'm like, this thing that this man was doing, and then you understand. So yeah, just say that's just like my own perspective.
Okay, no problem. Okay. No, any other thoughts? No other thoughts. Great. All right. Okay, guys, thank you for staying this long. I know
We've kept you people.
I know I've exhausted a lot of your time, right? But please, in case you are stingy with your subscription, you listen to almost 2 hours, you don't subscribe, I beg you, repent and subscribe. I beg you in the name of God. Okay, right. Thank you so much. Looking forward to having you next week. Watch my next video, right? Thank you so much for your time. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.